The pre-dawn darkness under the Interstate 25 bridge carried the smell of diesel and desperation. Holly Bennett pressed her trembling fingers against her sister's cold neck one more time, searching for a pulse she knew wasn't there. Rachel's lips had turned blue hours ago, sometime during the freezing February night while Holly slept, exhausted from another day of panhandling and trying to keep them both fed. 16 years old. Rachel was only 16 years old. Holly's scream shattered the silence, sending pigeons scattering from the concrete supports above. She pulled her sister's thin body against her chest, rocking back and forth on the cardboard that had been their bed. Rachel's blonde hair, so like their mother's, fell across Holly's arm. Just yesterday, Rachel had been laughing about a dog they'd seen in the park. Yesterday, she'd been alive. The fever had started 3 days ago. Holly had begged outside the hospital, trying to collect enough money for the emergency room copay, but people just walked past, avoiding her eyes. She'd gathered $43. Not enough. Never enough. Rachel kept saying she felt better, that they should save the money for food. She'd always been the optimist, even when they had nothing. Now Holly had nothing and no one. She didn't know how long she sat there before the sun began to rise. The February cold seeped into her bones, but she couldn't feel it. She could barely feel anything except the crushing weight of failure. She was supposed to protect Rachel. After their parents died 18 months ago in that highway accident, Holly had promised to take care of her little sister. She'd been so sure they'd figure it out, that the system would help them, that something would work out. But the foster homes had separated them. Holly had run, taking Rachel with her. Better together on the streets than apart in homes where Rachel sent her coded messages about hands that wandered and words that cut. Better free than safe, they'd told each other. Except they'd been wrong. The streets weren't freedom. They were slow death. Holly lifted Rachel carefully, cradling her sister's body like she had when Rachel was small and had nightmares. Rachel weighed almost nothing. The streets had stolen the baby fat from her cheeks, the healthy glow from her skin. Holly stood on shaking legs and began to walk. She walked through downtown Denver as the city woke up around her. Business people in crisp suits hurried past. A woman pulled her child closer when she saw Holly coming. Someone called out something cruel, but Holly didn't hear it. She just kept walking, holding Rachel, her mind blank except for one thought repeating endlessly. She needed help burying her sister. The Cross Technologies building rose like a glass tower against the morning sky. Holly had walked past it 100 times, staring up at the gleaming windows and wondering what it felt like to work somewhere warm, somewhere safe. She'd seen the man who owned it once, getting out of a black car. Someone had pointed him out, saying he was a millionaire, that he'd lost his wife and now he just worked all the time. Holly's legs gave out on the sidewalk in front of the building's entrance. She sank down, still holding Rachel, and began to cry. Not the quiet tears she'd learned to shed silently in alleys and doorways, but great, heaving sobs that shook her whole body. She'd held it together for so long. Months of being strong for Rachel, of pretending everything would be okay. The dam broke. She didn't notice the black car pulling up to the curb. Didn't see the man in the expensive gray suit step out. She only looked up when a shadow fell across her and a voice asked, "What happened here?" Through blurred vision, Holly saw him. 50-something, with silver threading through his dark hair and eyes that looked like they understood loss. His suit probably cost more than every piece of clothing Holly had ever owned combined. He was kneeling on the dirty sidewalk beside her, expensive leather shoes in a puddle. "My sister," Holly managed to say. "She's dead. I don't have money. Please. Please, I just need to bury her. I can't just leave her. Please." The man's face went pale. His eyes moved from Holly to Rachel's still form, and something broke in his expression. For a long moment, he said nothing. People were gathering, pulling out phones. Someone was probably calling the police. Holly would be arrested. They'd take Rachel away, and Holly would never know where they buried her. "What's your name?" the man asked quietly. "Holly. Holly Bennett. This is Rachel." Holly's voice cracked on her sister's name. The man reached out slowly, not touching them, just hovering his hand near Holly's shoulder. "I'm Nathan Cross. I'm going to help you, Holly. I'm going to help you with everything. But first, we need to get your sister somewhere safe and get you to a hospital." "I don't have money for a hospital." "You don't need money." Nathan pulled out his phone, making calls with quiet efficiency. Grace. It's Nathan Cross. I need you at my building immediately. Yes, it's an emergency. Another call. Tom. I need your help. Can you meet me at Denver General? Holly's mind couldn't process what was happening. She'd expected him to walk away like everyone else. She'd expected nothing. But here is what I want you to think about. How many times have you walked past someone who needed help? How many times have you looked away from suffering because it made you uncomfortable? Drop a comment below and tell me honestly, would you stop? Would you help? And if this story moves you, subscribe to hear what happens next, because this is only the beginning. Nathan was still talking on the phone, coordinating things Holly didn't understand. An ambulance arrived, but not with sirens. The paramedics were gentle with Rachel and gentle with Holly. A woman appeared who introduced herself as Dr. Mitchell. She had kind eyes and spoke to Holly like she was a person, not a problem. Holly, I'm a social worker at the hospital. Nathan called me. We're going to take care of Rachel, and we're going to take care of you. Is that okay? Holly nodded because she didn't know what else to do. She climbed into the ambulance, and Nathan climbed in with her. She expected him to leave, to go back to his important life and his glass tower. But he stayed. He held out a bottle of water and waited patiently while Holly's shaking hands tried to open it. When she couldn't, he opened it for her and didn't make her feel ashamed. Rachel, Holly whispered. I promised I'd take care of her. You did take care of her, Nathan said, and his voice was rough with emotion. You carried her all this way. You didn't leave her alone. That's love, Holly. That's what matters. The ambulance drove through the waking city, and Holly watched the buildings pass through windows she could barely see through her tears. She had no idea that the man sitting across from her, this stranger who'd stopped when everyone else walked past, was about to change the entire course of her life. She had no idea that Rachel's death, as terrible as it was, would become the beginning of something beautiful. She only knew that for the first time in 18 months, someone had said yes when she asked for help. And sometimes, that's all it takes to change everything. The hospital room was too bright and too clean. Holly sat on the examination table, wrapped in a blanket someone had given her, watching as Dr. Mitchell spoke quietly with Nathan in the corner. She'd been checked over by nurses who'd been shocked at her malnutrition, the frostbite on her toes, the infections she'd been ignoring for weeks. They'd given her warm soup and hot chocolate, and both had made her stomach hurt because it had been so long since she'd eaten real food. Rachel was somewhere in this building. In the morgue. The word made Holly want to throw up the soup. Nathan turned from his conversation with Dr. Mitchell and pulled a chair close to Holly's bed. He sat down with a tired sigh, and Holly noticed for the first time that there were deep shadows under his eyes. She also noticed he was still wearing the same gray suit from this morning, though it was wrinkled now, and there was a stain on the knee where he'd knelt beside her on the sidewalk. Holly, Dr. Mitchell and I have been talking about your situation, Nathan began. His voice was gentle but direct. She's been making some calls, finding out about you and Rachel. Would it be okay if we talked about what happened? Holly nodded. What did it matter now? What did anything matter? Your parents died in a car accident about 18 months ago, Dr. Mitchell said, reading from notes on her tablet. Patricia and Michael Bennett. They were on their way home from your mother's shift at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. A drunk driver crossed the median on Highway 70. The words hung in the air. Holly had heard them before, from police officers and social workers and foster parents. They never got easier. You were placed with the Henderson family, and Rachel went to the Martins, Dr. Mitchell continued. According to the records, you ran away after 3 months. Rachel disappeared from her placement 2 weeks later. There's been an active missing persons case for both of you for over a year. They were going to separate us forever, Holly said, her voice flat. The Hendersons wanted to adopt me, but they didn't want Rachel. Said they only had room for one. And the Martins. She stopped, her jaw clenching. Mr. Martin looked at Rachel wrong. Talked to her wrong. She called me crying in the middle of the night, using the house phone. So I went and got her. Nathan's hands tightened on the arms of his chair. Did anyone investigate? Rachel was too scared to tell them everything. She just said she wanted to be with me. They said she was being difficult. that she needed to adjust. I wasn't going to let her adjust to that. Dr. Mitchell made notes, her expression grim. I'll be looking into the Martin placement. This should have been investigated properly. But Holly, living on the streets at 17 with a 15-year-old. That was incredibly dangerous. More dangerous than leaving her there. Holly's voice rose. She was my sister. My responsibility. You are a child yourself, Nathan said quietly. You are still a child. This should never have been on your shoulders. Holly looked away. Well, it doesn't matter now. Rachel's gone and it's my fault. I should have gotten her to the hospital. I should have done something different. I should have begged better, gotten more money. I should have. Stop. Nathan's voice was firm. Holly, look at me. She did, reluctantly. I lost my wife 2 years ago. Catherine. She had cancer. We had the best doctors, the best hospitals, unlimited money to throw at the problem. And she still died. Sometimes terrible things happen, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. That doesn't make it your fault. Holly's eyes filled with tears again. She was so tired of crying. But Rachel needed a doctor. If I'd had money. The hospital records show that Rachel had pneumonia that progressed to septic shock, Dr. Mitchell said gently. Even if you'd brought her in 3 days ago when the fever started, her chances wouldn't have been good. She'd been malnourished for a long time. Her immune system was compromised. Holly, this isn't about what you failed to do. This is about a system that failed both of you. Dr. Mitchell is right, Nathan added. And I'm going to make sure the system doesn't fail you again. First, we're going to arrange a proper funeral for Rachel. I've already contacted a funeral home. We'll do this right, Holly. Your sister will be buried with dignity. Holly stared at him. I can't pay you back. I don't have anything. I'm not asking you to pay me back. I'm asking you to let me help. But why? The question burst out of her. Why would you do this? You don't know me. You don't know Rachel. We're nobody. Nathan was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. 2 years ago, when Catherine died, I wanted to die too. I had all the money in the world and none of it mattered because I couldn't save her. I went to dark places, Holly. I thought about ending it more than once. But Catherine made me promise before she died that I'd find a way to keep living, to find purpose. She said my life still had meaning even if she wasn't in it. He paused, looking down at his hands. I've been sleepwalking through the past 2 years. Working constantly to avoid going home to an empty house. Throwing money at charities because it was easier than actually connecting with people. And then this morning, I saw you on that sidewalk with your sister, and something in me woke up. You asked for help. Not money for drugs, not a handout. Just help burying your sister. And I realized this is what Catherine meant. This is the purpose. Holly didn't know what to say. This man, this millionaire who could be anywhere, doing anything, was sitting in a hospital room telling her she mattered. I want to help you, Holly, Nathan continued. Not just with the funeral. With everything. Getting you off the streets. Getting you into school. Giving you a chance at the future your parents would have wanted for you. That's a lot, Holly whispered. It is. And I understand if you're skeptical. Dr. Mitchell will be involved every step of the way to make sure everything is appropriate and above board. But I'm serious about this. I have resources and I want to use them to give you a second chance. Dr. Mitchell leaned forward. Holly, I've known Nathan for 5 years. He's donated millions to youth programs and homeless services in Denver. He's a good man. I wouldn't be supporting this if I had any concerns about his motives. But the decision is yours. You're 19. Legally an adult. You get to choose what happens next. Holly's mind spun. She'd been making survival decisions for so long that the idea of choosing a future felt impossible. But then she thought about Rachel. Rachel who dreamed about going to college, who'd talked about becoming a teacher, who'd believed that good things could happen even when evidence suggested otherwise. Okay, Holly said. Okay, I'll let you help. Thank you. Nathan's face softened into the first real smile she'd seen from him. Thank you for trusting me. Now, let's start planning Rachel's service. What kind of funeral would she have wanted? They spent the next hour talking about Rachel. Holly described her sister's love of music, her favorite color purple, the poem she'd loved from a book they'd found in a library donation box. Nathan listened to everything, making notes on his phone, asking questions that showed he actually cared about who Rachel had been. Claire, Nathan's assistant, arrived with bags of clothes for Holly. "I guessed on sizes," she said with a warm smile. "But there's a gift receipt for everything." The clothes were normal. Jeans and sweaters and underwear and socks. Things Holly hadn't owned in over a year. She wanted to cry again but managed to hold it together. By evening, arrangements had been made. Rachel would be buried in a cemetery on the outskirts of Denver, under a tree. There would be a service in 3 days. Nathan had contacted a pastor he knew. Dr. Mitchell had arranged for Holly to stay in a special care facility at the hospital until after the funeral, a place for young people in crisis. As Nathan prepared to leave for the night, he paused at the door. "Holly, I want you to know something. What you did for your sister, keeping her safe, staying with her until the end, that took courage most people don't have. You're stronger than you know." "I don't feel strong," Holly admitted. "The strongest people never do." Nathan smiled sadly. "Get some rest. I'll be back tomorrow." After he left, Dr. Mitchell sat with Holly for a while longer. "He's going to change your life if you let him," she said. "But it's going to be hard too. Grief doesn't go away just because circumstances improve. You're going to have to do the work of healing." "I know," Holly said. And she did. She knew the pain of losing Rachel would never fully leave. But for the first time since her parents died, she felt something other than despair. She felt hope. Nathan sat in his home office long after midnight, scrolling through documents Dr. Mitchell had sent over. The house was too big and too quiet, the way it had been since Catherine died. Usually he avoided being here, worked until exhaustion forced him home, then collapsed in bed. But tonight, he read. Patricia Bennett had been a registered nurse at Colorado General for 12 years. Excellent performance reviews. Beloved by patients and colleagues. Michael Bennett had worked in construction, steady employment with the same company for 15 years. They'd owned a modest house in Aurora. Attended church regularly. Both girls had been honor roll students. A normal, happy family. Until one drunk driver destroyed everything. Nathan found the accident report. The other driver had 3 prior DUIs. Had been driving on a suspended license. Walked away with minor injuries while the Bennetts were both killed instantly. The driver served 6 months in jail and paid a small fine. 6 months for erasing 2 lives and destroying 2 more. The injustice of it made Nathan's chest tight. He understood Holly's anger at the system now. It had failed her family at every turn. The foster care records were worse. Holly placed with the Hendersons, Rachel with the Martins. 2 different social workers, minimal communication between cases. The Hendersons' home study showed they'd specifically requested an older child only. So why place sisters separately when they'd just lost their parents? Bureaucracy, Nathan thought bitterly. Convenience. Whoever made the placements had probably been overworked, with too many kids and not enough homes. Holly and Rachel were just cases to close, boxes to check. Rachel's file from the Martin home contained 3 incident reports. Rachel had gotten into arguments. Refused to participate in family activities. Snuck phone calls. The social worker's note suggested Rachel was having trouble adjusting, needed counseling. Not one mention of investigating why a previously well-adjusted girl was suddenly acting out. Then both girls vanished. Amber alerts issued, investigations opened. But they'd gone cold quickly. Runaways, the report said. Happens all the time. 2 more kids lost in a system that had too many cracks. Except they weren't lost. They'd been right here in Denver, sleeping under bridges and in doorways, 2 miles from where Nathan sat in his comfortable home. He closed his laptop and stared out the window at the city lights. How many other kids were out there right now? How many Holly and Rachel's were slipping through cracks while people like him wrote checks to charities and felt good about themselves? Catherine's voice echoed in his memory. She'd always pushed him to do more than just donate money. Write a check and you help for a day, she used to say. Get involved and you change lives. But after she died, he'd retreated into the safety of financial philanthropy. No personal connection meant no personal pain. Meeting Holly had cracked something open in him. Maybe that's what Catherine had meant about finding purpose. Maybe it wasn't about grand gestures but about actually seeing people. His phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Mitchell. Holly's resting. Grief counselor meeting set for tomorrow. Pastor Whitfield confirmed for the service. You doing okay? Nathan typed back. I'm good. Thank you for everything, Grace. That's what friends are for. Catherine would be proud of what you're doing. Would she? Nathan wondered. Or would she say he should have been doing this all along? The next morning, Nathan arrived at the hospital with coffee and breakfast sandwiches. He found Holly awake, staring out the window. She looked better than yesterday. The hospital staff had made sure she showered and ate. Her auburn hair was clean and pulled back in a ponytail. In normal clothes instead of her street layers, she looked even younger than 19. Morning, Nathan said. I brought food. Hope you like egg sandwiches. I like anything that isn't from a dumpster, Holly said, then winced. Sorry, that was honest, Nathan finished. Don't apologize for honesty. They ate in companionable silence for a while. Then Holly asked, why are you really doing this? And don't give me the stuff about your wife and purpose. There has to be more. Nathan appreciated her directness. You want the whole truth. Please. I told you about Catherine. What I didn't tell you is that after she died, I became a ghost. I didn't want to feel anything because feeling meant pain. I built walls. Threw myself into work. Avoided connections. My assistant Claire basically runs my life because I was too checked out to care. He paused, gathering his thoughts. Then yesterday, I saw you with Rachel. And for the first time in 2 years, I felt something other than numbness. I felt anger at a world where a girl dies on the street because nobody helped. I felt sorrow for what you'd lost. And when you asked me for help, I felt needed. Not for my money, but for me. Does that make sense? Holly nodded slowly. So helping me helps you too. In a way, yes. But that doesn't make the help less genuine. I want you to have a future, Holly. A real one. The one your parents dreamed about for you. I wanted to be a nurse like my mom, Holly said quietly. Before everything happened. I had good grades. Was going to apply to CU Denver's nursing program. That feels like a different lifetime now. It doesn't have to be, Nathan said. You could still do that. I dropped out of high school. I don't have a diploma. I don't have transcripts or records or anything. Those are solvable problems. Bureaucratic headaches, not impossibilities. Holly looked at him with something like wonder. You really believe that? I do. And I have resources to make it happen. Good lawyers, good connections. We'll get your records, get you into a GED program if needed, start building toward college. If that's what you want. I don't know what I want anymore, Holly admitted. Everything I wanted included Rachel. I understand. And there's no rush. First, we get through the funeral. Then we figure out next steps. One day at a time. Dr. Mitchell arrived with the grief counselor, a woman named Angela who had a calm presence. Nathan excused himself to let Holly have privacy for the session. He used the time to meet with Claire at a nearby coffee shop. You're serious about this, Claire said. It wasn't a question. Completely. The board is going to have opinions. The board can share those opinions at the next meeting and I'll consider them. But this isn't a business decision, Claire. This is personal. Claire studied him over her coffee cup. You look different. More alive than I've seen you in years. I feel different. Catherine was right. I needed to find purpose beyond the company. I think maybe this is it. Just be careful, Claire cautioned. Not everyone is going to understand. There will be people who question your motives, who think this is inappropriate. A middle-aged man helping a teenage girl. That's why Dr. Mitchell is involved. Everything will be documented and appropriate. I'm not naive, Claire. I know how this could look, but I also know I'm doing the right thing. Claire nodded. Then I've got your back. What do you need from me? Start researching educational options. GED programs, community colleges with good nursing tracks. Also, I'm going to need to make some changes at the house. Maybe hire someone to help Holly transition. A female counselor or mentor figure? I'll put together some options, Claire said, already typing notes. And Nathan, for what it's worth, I think this is good. You've been sleepwalking since Catherine died. It's good to see you care about something again. Back at the hospital, Holly's counseling session had ended. Angela gave Nathan a thumbs up on her way out, indicating it had gone well. Nathan found Holly looking thoughtful. She's nice, Holly said. Angela. She actually listens instead of just telling me how I should feel. Good. She'll be available whenever you need her, even after you leave the hospital. About that, Holly said, her voice uncertain. What happens after the funeral? Where do I go? This was the conversation Nathan had been both anticipating and dreading. I have a proposal, and I want you to really think about it before answering. No pressure. Holly waited. I have a large house in Cherry Creek. Too large for one person. There's a guest house on the property, completely separate from the main house. Private entrance, full kitchen, bedroom, bathroom. I'd like you to stay there while you figure things out. Work on your GED, decide about school, have a safe place to grieve and heal. Holly's eyes widened. You want me to live with you? Near me, not with me. The guest house gives you privacy and independence. Dr. Mitchell would check in regularly. Angela would continue counseling. Claire offered to help you navigate practical things like getting your documents in order. You'd have space to just be a kid again for a while. I'm 19. Not really a kid. Then to be a young adult without having to worry about survival. When did you last get to just exist, Holly? No stress about food or shelter or safety. Holly's eyes filled with tears. Before my parents died. Exactly. I'm offering you time. Time to grieve, to heal, to figure out who you are and who you want to be. No expectations except that you take care of yourself. What do you think? I think it sounds too good to be true, Holly whispered. I keep waiting for the catch. No catch. Just kindness. And maybe, eventually, you paying it forward when you're in a position to help someone else. Holly was quiet for a long moment, emotions playing across her face. Fear, hope, uncertainty, longing. Finally, she said, Can I see the guest house before I decide? After the funeral. Absolutely. That's smart thinking. And Dr. Mitchell will really keep checking in? This isn't just you saying that. I'll be checking in whether you like it or not, Dr. Mitchell said, entering the room with a smile. I'm invested in your well-being now, Holly. Nathan's offer is genuine, and I'll make sure everything stays appropriate and safe. But only if you're comfortable with it. Holly looked between them. These two strangers who'd become advocates in less than 24 hours. Okay, she said finally. After the funeral, I'll look at the guest house. But I'm not promising anything yet. That's fair, Nathan agreed. Now, Pastor Whitfield is coming by this afternoon to talk about the service. He'd like to hear about Rachel from you, if you're up for it. Holly nodded, and for the first time since Nathan had met her on that sidewalk, she smiled. Just a small one, but real. It was a start. The morning of Rachel's funeral dawned clear and cold, the kind of February day where Colorado's sunshine promised warmth but delivered only brightness. Holly stood in the hospital room, staring at the simple black dress someone had provided. Black for mourning. Black because that's what people wore to funerals. But Rachel had hated black. Nathan arrived at 9, as he had every morning for the past 3 days. He took one look at Holly's face and the untouched dress and said, What's wrong? Rachel loved purple. She would have wanted purple. Holly's voice was flat. But this is all I have and I can't show up to my sister's funeral in jeans and a sweater. Nathan pulled out his phone. What size are you? 30 minutes later, Claire arrived with 3 dresses in shades of purple. Holly chose a deep violet one with simple lines. It felt right. Rachel would have approved. The funeral home chapel was small and bright, with windows that let in streams of sunlight. Nathan had arranged for flowers in purple and white to fill the space. It didn't look like a sad place. It looked like hope. Holly had expected it to be just her, Nathan, Dr. Mitchell, and Pastor Whitfield. She'd braced herself for the emptiness of it. But as she walked into the chapel, she stopped in shock. There were people, dozens of them. Who are they? Holly whispered to Nathan. People who wanted to pay their respects. Some are from my company. Some are from the community center where I volunteer sometimes. Some are folks I've helped over the years who wanted to support you. And some, he gestured to an older couple in the front row, are the Wallace. They run a coffee shop downtown. I helped them keep their business afloat a few years ago. They insisted on coming. Beth from the women's shelter was there, along with several other staff members. Maggie Thompson, who owned a diner, had brought food for after the service. Officer Parker, a police officer who'd apparently helped Nathan with something before, sat near the back in his dress uniform. Holly felt overwhelmed. All these people, for a girl they'd never met, for a homeless teenager who died under a bridge. Pastor Whitfield was a man in his 60s with kind eyes and a gentle presence. He approached Holly and took her hands. I'm so sorry for your loss, dear. Nathan told me about Rachel. She sounds like she was a beautiful soul. The service was simple and honest. Pastor Whitfield didn't pretend to have known Rachel. Instead, he spoke about the preciousness of young life, about sisters who loved each other enough to face the world together, about how love persists even after death. Then he invited Holly to speak if she wanted to. Holly hadn't prepared anything. She walked to the front on shaking legs and looked at the casket where Rachel lay. Nathan had let her choose everything. The purple dress Rachel wore. The way her hair was styled. The simple makeup that made her look peaceful, like she was sleeping. Rachel was my little sister, Holly began, her voice barely above a whisper. She was 2 years younger than me, but sometimes she seemed older, wiser. She always saw good in people, even when they didn't deserve it. Even when the world was hard, she believed it would get better. Holly paused, gathering strength. When our parents died, I promised I'd take care of her. I thought that meant keeping her alive, keeping her fed and safe. But I failed at that. She died anyway. She heard Nathan shift in his seat, probably wanting to protest, but she continued. But someone told me recently that I did take care of her. That I loved her and stayed with her and didn't let her be alone. Maybe that's what matters. Maybe love is the only thing that really matters. Tears streamed down Holly's face. Rachel wanted to be a teacher. She wanted to help kids. She was smart and funny, and she made me laugh even when we had nothing. She deserved so much more than she got. But she got love. I gave her that. And these people here today. Holly gestured to the congregation. You're giving her this. Dignity. Recognition that her life mattered. So thank you. Thank you for seeing my sister. She sat down, and Nathan reached over to squeeze her hand. All around the chapel, there wasn't a dry eye. Pastor Whitfield closed the service with a prayer about hope and resurrection, about how love never dies even when bodies do. Then they processed to the cemetery. The burial plot was beneath a huge cottonwood tree, its bare branches reaching toward the sky. In spring, Nathan told Holly, it would bloom. Flowers were already planted around the headstone. Simple granite with Rachel's name, her dates, and the words, beloved sister. As they lowered the casket, Holly finally broke. Great, gasping sobs shook her body. Dr. Mitchell held her on one side, Nathan on the other. They let her cry, didn't try to hush her or make it better. They just held on. When it was over and people began to drift away, Holly knelt by the grave. I'm sorry I couldn't save you, she whispered. I'm so sorry, Rachel. But I promise I'll live enough for both of us. I'll do all the things you wanted to do. I'll make something good come from this. I promise. She felt a hand on her shoulder. Nathan, giving her a moment before gently helping her up. She knows, he said quietly. She knows you loved her. That's what she took with her. The gathering afterward was at Maggie's diner. The older woman had closed it to the public and filled it with food. People approached Holly with condolences and kindness. The Walsh told her about how Nathan had saved their business when they were about to lose everything. Beth from the shelter talked about the homeless youth programs Nathan had funded anonymously for years. He helps people, a young man named Kevin told Holly. He helped me get into trade school when I had nothing. Didn't want publicity or thanks. Just helped. Holly looked across the diner to where Nathan stood talking with Pastor Whitfield. He looked tired but peaceful, more settled than he had that first morning. She realized helping her was helping him too, giving him purpose like he'd said. As the afternoon wore on, and people began to leave, Dr. Mitchell approached Holly. "How are you holding up?" "I don't know," Holly admitted. "It feels real now. She's really gone." "She is. And the pain will come in waves for a long time. But you're not alone in it anymore. Look around at all these people who showed up today. You have a community now." Because of Nathan. Because of Nathan's generosity, yes. But also because of your courage. You asked for help. That's the hardest thing to do. Before leaving the diner, Holly thanked everyone personally. She hugged Maggie, who smelled like cinnamon, and told her to come back anytime. She thanked the Wallace for coming. She shook hands with Officer Parker, who gave her his card and said to call if she ever needed anything. Finally, it was just Nathan, Claire, Dr. Mitchell, and Holly, ready to see the guest house. Nathan asked. Holly nodded. She was exhausted, emotionally wrung out, but also curious. This would be the next step. The future she'd promised Rachel to live. They drove to Cherry Creek in Nathan's car. Holly stared out the window at the nice houses, the safe streets, the world she'd been locked out of for so long. Nathan's house was large but not ostentatious. Colonial style with a big yard and mature trees. The guest house sat at the back of the property, separated by a garden. It was small but beautiful, with blue siding and white trim. Nathan unlocked the door and let Holly enter first. One large room served as living area and bedroom combined, with a small kitchen along one wall and a door leading to a bathroom. The furniture was comfortable but not fancy. Windows looked out over the garden. It was clean and warm and safe. "It's perfect," Holly breathed. "It's actually perfect." "It's yours if you want it," Nathan said. "I had Claire stock the kitchen with basics. Internet password is on the counter. You'd have complete privacy. I won't come over unless invited." Holly walked through the space, touching things to make sure they were real. A soft couch. A bed with clean sheets. A kitchen with a full refrigerator. A bathroom with hot water. "I want it," she said, turning to Nathan. "I want to stay here. And I want to work on my GED. And maybe, eventually, I want to help other kids like Rachel and me. Kids who fall through the cracks." Nathan's face broke into a wide smile. "Then let's make it happen. Together." Dr. Mitchell pulled Holly into a hug. "I'm proud of you. This is the beginning of something good." As Holly stood in her new home, looking out at the garden and the main house beyond, she felt Rachel's presence like a whisper. Her sister would have loved this. Would have been so happy to see Holly safe. "I'm going to make you proud," Holly promised the empty air. "I'm going to live for both of us." And for the first time since her parents died, Holly felt like maybe, just maybe, everything might actually be okay. Holly woke up disoriented. The bed was too soft. The room was too warm. For a panicked moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Then memory flooded back, the guest house. Nathan. The funeral yesterday. Rachel was still gone. That part hadn't been a dream. But this place, this safety, was real. She lay still for a long moment, listening. No traffic sounds. No other homeless people arguing. No police sirens or store alarms. Just birds chirping in the garden and the distant hum of a lawn mower. Normal sounds. Safe sounds. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Nathan had given her a phone 3 days ago, a simple smartphone with his number, Dr. Mitchell's, Claire's, and Angela the counselor's already programmed in. The text was from Claire. "Morning. Want me to show you around the neighborhood today? Help you get oriented? No pressure." Holly typed back. "Yes. Thank you." She showered in the bathroom with actual hot water pressure and used the shampoo Claire had stocked. Real shampoo, not the tiny bottles from gas station bathrooms. She dressed in new clothes, jeans, and a green sweater that actually fit her properly. In the mirror, she looked like a different person than the girl who'd collapsed on Nathan's sidewalk 9 days ago. 9 days. That's all it had been. It felt like a lifetime. Claire arrived an hour later in a practical sedan. She was in her 40s, with short brown hair and the efficient manner of someone who got things done. "Ready for a tour?" she asked cheerfully. They drove through Cherry Creek, Claire pointing out grocery stores, the library, coffee shops, a community center. That's where Nathan volunteers sometimes, Claire said, gesturing to a building with bright murals. They have GED classes, job training programs, mental health resources. Might be worth checking out. Nathan volunteers there. Holly asked. Every other Saturday morning. Has for years. He teaches basic computer skills to seniors. Catherine used to volunteer there too, in the literacy program. It's how they met, actually. Holly filed this information away, adding to her growing picture of Nathan as someone who'd been quietly good for a long time. They stopped at a coffee shop called Walsh's. The same Walsh who'd been at the funeral. Kevin Walsh was behind the counter, and his face lit up when he saw them. Holly, come in, come in. Coffee's on the house. The shop was cozy, filled with mismatched furniture and local art on the walls. Kevin made them elaborate lattes with foam designs and sat with them when the morning rush died down. This place almost didn't survive, Kevin told Holly. 5 years ago, my mom got sick. Cancer. The medical bills were crushing us. We were about to lose the shop, lose everything. Nathan found out somehow. He paid off our debt, didn't want anything in return. Wouldn't even let us pay him back. Said to pay it forward instead. How did he find out? Holly asked. My wife Jennifer works at the hospital where his wife was treated. They got to talking. Next thing we know, Nathan's lawyer is contacting us. The debt was just gone. Kevin shook his head. Changed our whole lives. Mom beat the cancer. We kept the shop. We were able to breathe again. That's who Nathan Cross is. He sees people hurting and he helps. After coffee, Claire took Holly to the library and helped her get a card. You can take out books, use the computers, attend programs, Claire explained. It's free and it's yours. Holly stared at the library card like it was made of gold. Her name, Holly Bennett, printed right there. Proof she existed. Proof she belonged somewhere. Back at the guest house, Nathan was waiting with Dr. Mitchell. Hope you don't mind us dropping by, Nathan said. We wanted to talk about next steps. They sat in Holly's small living room, and Dr. Mitchell opened a folder. I've been doing research on GED programs. There's an excellent one at the community center Claire showed you. 4 days a week, flexible hours. I spoke with the director and explained your situation. They have a spot for you starting next week if you want it. Next week. Holly's stomach flipped. That's so soon. We don't have to rush, Nathan said quickly. If you need more time. No, Holly interrupted. No, I want to do it. I'm just scared. What if I can't keep up? What if I forgot everything from regular school? Then you learn it again, Dr. Mitchell said simply. There's no shame in that. And you'll have tutoring support. Angela will continue your counseling. We're building a whole support system around you. Why? Holly asked. The question that kept coming up. Why are all of you doing this? Nathan and Dr. Mitchell exchanged glances. Then Dr. Mitchell said, Holly, I've been a social worker for 20 years. I've seen countless kids fall through cracks in the system. Most of them never get a second chance. When Nathan called me that morning and I saw what he wanted to do, I realized this was an opportunity to actually make a difference for one person. Really make a difference. That's rare in my job. And I already told you my reasons, Nathan added. But I'll say it again. Helping you gives my life meaning. It's that simple and that complicated. Holly felt tears prick her eyes. Again. She seemed to cry constantly now. I'm going to do it, she said. The GED program. I'm going to work hard and make this count. I know you will, Nathan said. Now, there's something else we need to discuss. Your legal situation. Holly tensed. What about it? You're 19, so you're legally independent. But you don't have proper ID, a social security card, birth certificate, or any documentation. We need to get those things. My lawyer is working on it, but it requires going through official channels. There's going to be paperwork, maybe some questions about where you've been. Will I get in trouble? For running away? No, Dr. Mitchell assured her. You were 17 when you left foster care, and you took Rachel to protect her. The focus is going to be on getting you documented and stable, not punishing you. Over the next few days, Holly settled into a routine. She woke up in the guest house each morning, still marveling at the luxury of safety. She walked in the garden, trying to get used to having space. She visited Walsh's coffee shop because Kevin and Jennifer made her feel welcome. She went to the library and slowly remembered what it felt like to read for pleasure. And she cried. A lot. Angela, the counselor, had warned her this would happen. Grief doesn't follow a schedule, Angela said during one of their sessions. You've been in survival mode for so long. Now that you're safe, all the feelings you've been pushing down are going to surface. Nathan kept a respectful distance, but checked in daily, usually by text. How are you doing? Need anything? Want to have dinner at the house tonight? Claire makes excellent lasagna. The dinner invitation became a regular thing. Tuesday and Thursday evenings, Holly would go to the main house and eat with Nathan and sometimes Claire. They'd talk about normal things. Books. Weather. The news. Nathan never pushed, never asked intrusive questions. He just made space for her to exist. One evening, Holly asked about Catherine. Claire mentioned you met volunteering. What was she like? Nathan's face softened. She was light. That's the best way I can describe her. She lit up rooms just by being in them. Made everyone feel important and seen. She taught elementary school and loved those kids like they were her own. He paused. We couldn't have children. Medical reasons. It broke her heart for a long time. But then she poured all that maternal energy into her students and her volunteer work. She sounds amazing. She was. And she'd like you a lot, Holly. You remind me of her actually. That determination to keep going even when everything is hard. Holly didn't know what to say to that, so she just smiled. The first day of the GED program arrived too quickly. Holly stood outside the community center, her stomach in knots. Nathan had offered to come with her, but she'd said no. This was something she needed to do alone. Inside, she met her instructor, a woman named Ms. Rodriguez, who had warm eyes and an encouraging smile. Welcome, Holly. We're glad you're here. The class had 8 other students, ranging from 18 to 60. All there for different reasons. All working toward the same goal. Holly sat in the back and listened as Ms. Rodriguez explained the program structure. Math, English, Science, Social Studies. 4 subjects to master. Practice tests and final exams. It felt overwhelming. But when Ms. Rodriguez handed out diagnostic tests to see where everyone was starting, Holly found herself remembering more than she'd expected. She'd been a good student once. Before everything fell apart. Maybe she could be again. After class, a girl about Holly's age approached her. I'm Beth. Well, Elizabeth, but everyone calls me Beth. You're new, right? Yeah. Just started today. Me too. Want to maybe study together sometime? I'm terrible at math and could use a partner. Holly blinked, surprised. When was the last time someone her own age had wanted to be her friend? Sure, that would be nice. They exchanged numbers, and Holly walked back to the guest house feeling lighter. She had a study partner. She'd survived the first class. Small victories. That night, she texted Nathan. First day went okay. Thank you for making this possible. His reply came quickly. You're the one doing the work. I'm just providing the opportunity. Proud of you. Holly looked around her small home. At the books on the shelf. The stocked fridge. The soft bed waiting. All things Rachel would never have. The thought made her sad, but also determined. She pulled out a notebook and started writing. Not homework, though she had that too. But thoughts. Feelings. A letter to Rachel about everything that was happening. I'm going to make this mean something, she wrote. Your death won't be for nothing. I'm going to help other kids. Somehow, some way. I'm going to make sure no one else falls through the cracks the way we did. It was a big promise. Maybe impossible. But Holly was learning that impossible things sometimes happened. After all, a millionaire had stopped for a homeless girl begging on a sidewalk. If that could happen, anything could. 6 weeks into the GED program, Holly's life had developed a rhythm. Wake up at 7. Study for an hour before class. Walk to the community center. 4 hours of instruction. Lunch, usually at Walsh's where Kevin and Jennifer always had a smile and sometimes a free pastry. Back to the guest house to study more. Dinner, sometimes alone, sometimes with Nathan. Counseling sessions with Angela twice a week. Phone calls with Dr. Mitchell checking in. Claire stopping by with practical help, like teaching Holly how to budget the small allowance Nathan insisted on giving her for personal expenses. It felt almost normal, almost like a real life. But grief still ambushed her at unexpected moments. She'd see something purple and think of Rachel. Hear a song Rachel had liked. Pass by the park where they'd sometimes spent afternoons. The pain would hit fresh and new, stealing her breath. Angela had explained this was natural. Grief isn't linear. You don't just get over it and move on. You learn to carry it. Some days it's lighter, some days it crushes you. Both are okay. Holly was beginning to understand what she meant. In class, she was thriving. Math came back quickly once she remembered the formulas. English had always been her best subject. Science required more work, but she was catching up. Her practice test scores were climbing steadily. Beth, her study partner, became a real friend. They met at the library twice a week to work through problems together. Beth was 21, had dropped out of school at 16 when she got pregnant, and was now trying to build a better future for herself and her daughter. "You're lucky," Beth said one afternoon over math problems. "Having someone like Nathan helping you. My family thinks I'm wasting time with school. Say I should just work full-time and forget about education." "That's hard," Holly said. "My parents always pushed education. My mom was a nurse and she wanted me to go to college." Past tense. Beth asked gently. Holly found herself telling Beth the whole story. The accident. Foster care. The streets. Rachel's death. Nathan finding her. All of it spilled out in the quiet library corner. Beth listened without judgment. When Holly finished, she reached over and squeezed her hand. "You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. To survive all that and still be here, working towards something better. That's incredible." "I don't feel strong." "Nobody does. But you are." Holly left the library that day feeling seen. Having a friend who knew her whole story and didn't pity her but respected her. It meant more than she could express. At home, things with Nathan continued to be comfortable but careful. He never overstepped. Never acted like a parent or authority figure. More like a mentor, a friend. But Holly was curious about him. This man who'd upended his life for a stranger. One Tuesday dinner, she decided to ask. "Claire said you volunteer at the community center. How come I've never seen you there?" Nathan looked surprised. "I'm there Saturday mornings. You have class Tuesday through Friday." "What do you do there?" "Teach basic computer skills mostly. Word processing, email, internet safety. A lot of seniors need help navigating the digital world. Could I come watch sometime? See what you do?" Nathan's face lit up. "Really? You'd want to?" "Yeah. You've been helping me for weeks. I want to understand more about who you are." That Saturday, Holly accompanied Nathan to the community center. She sat in the back of his computer lab class and watched him work with a group of elderly people learning to video chat with grandkids. He was patient, never condescending when someone asked the same question 3 times. Made jokes that landed gently. Celebrated small victories when someone successfully sent their first email. "He's good at this," the center director, a woman named Patricia, told Holly. "Been volunteering here for 7 years. Catherine got him started, and he kept coming even after she died. Some people retreat into grief. Nathan leaned into service." After the class, Nathan introduced Holly to Patricia. "Holly's in the GED program here. She's doing great." "I've heard wonderful things from Ms. Rodriguez," Patricia said warmly. "Welcome to our community, Holly. If you ever want to volunteer yourself, we always need help." The idea took root in Holly's mind. Volunteering. Giving back. Wasn't that what she'd promised Rachel? What kind of help? Holly asked. "All kinds. Tutoring younger kids. Helping in the food pantry. Organizing donation drives. Whatever interests you." Holly thought about this as she and Nathan walked back to his car. "Could I volunteer? After I get my GED?" "You could volunteer now if you want. Why wait?" "I don't know. Feels like I should get my own life together first before helping others. Nathan stopped walking and turned to her. Holly, can I tell you something Catherine used to say? She said helping others is how we get our own lives together. Service isn't something you do after you're fixed. It's part of the fixing. Is that what I am? Broken and needing fixing? No, Nathan said firmly. You're healing. There's a difference. Broken implies you can't function. You're functioning just fine. You're just wounded, and wounds take time to heal. Holly considered this. I want to help other homeless kids. Ones like Rachel and me who got lost in the system. Then let's make that happen. What would that look like? They spent the drive home brainstorming. Holly could volunteer at the youth shelter where Beth worked. She could speak to social workers about her experience. Maybe eventually start a program specifically for teens aging out of foster care. It doesn't have to be big, Nathan said. Start small. One kid at a time. That's how you change the world. That night, Holly couldn't sleep. Her mind was racing with possibilities. She got up and started researching on her laptop. Statistics about homeless youth in Denver. Success rates of different intervention programs. What helped and what didn't. The numbers were staggering. Thousands of kids on the streets. Many with stories like hers. Most with no one to help them the way Nathan had helped her. She thought about Rachel. About all the Rachels out there right now, sleeping under bridges, getting sick, dying alone. A fierce determination settled over her. She was going to pass this GED. She was going to get into nursing school. And while she did that, she was going to help as many kids as she could. The next day, she contacted Beth, the shelter coordinator. They met for coffee at Walsh's. I want to volunteer at the shelter, Holly said. Work with the teenage girls especially. Be someone who understands what they are going through. Beth's face broke into a huge smile. We would love that. When can you start? They arranged for Holly to come in 2 afternoons a week, times that didn't conflict with her GED classes. Her first day, she was nervous. What if the girls didn't trust her? What if she said the wrong thing? But when she walked into the shelter's common room and saw the teenagers there, girls with wary eyes and defensive postures, she knew exactly what to do. She sat down with them and said, I've been where you are. I lived on the streets with my sister for over a year. I know how hard it is. I'm here if you want to talk. One girl, maybe 15, looked up. Your sister. Is she here too? No, Holly said quietly. She died. That's why I'm here. To try to help other people's sisters. The room was silent. Then slowly, the girls began to open up, asking questions, sharing their stories. Holly listened, really listened, the way people had listened to her. When Nathan picked her up after her shift, she was emotionally drained but energized. I think I found my calling, she told him. This is what I'm supposed to do. Then keep doing it, Nathan encouraged. You're making a difference, Holly. I can see it. Over dinner that night, Holly asked Nathan something she'd been wondering about. Do you ever regret helping me? Does it ever feel like too much responsibility? Nathan set down his fork and looked at her seriously. Not once. Not even for a second. Do you know what my life was like before I met you? I went to work, came home, slept. Repeat. I had money and success, and it all meant nothing. Now I wake up with purpose. I have someone to care about, someone to help succeed. You gave me that, Holly, not the other way around. But you lost your wife. You were grieving. I still am grieving. I'll always miss Catherine. But grief doesn't mean you stop living. She'd be furious with me if I wasted my life hiding from pain. He smiled sadly. She'd love that I'm helping you. She always said the best way to heal your own wounds is to bandage someone else's. Holly felt tears prick her eyes. I wish I could have met her. Me too. She would have adored you. Would have probably adopted you herself within a week. Nathan laughed. Catherine never met a person she didn't want to help. You're like her in that way. I try to be. She made me better. And now you're making me better too. We're helping each other, Holly. That's what community is. Think about that for a moment. When was the last time you helped someone without expecting anything back? When did you last see someone struggling and actually stop to care? Real change starts with one person choosing kindness. Are you that person? If this story is speaking to you, hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because Holly's journey is just beginning. That night, Holly wrote in her journal to Rachel, "I think I'm starting to understand what I'm supposed to do with my life. You wanted to be a teacher and help kids. I'm going to do that, but in a different way. I'm going to help kids who nobody else sees. The invisible ones. The ones we used to be. This is how I keep your memory alive. This is how I make your death mean something." She touched a photo of Rachel she kept by her bed. The only picture she had, one Nathan had gotten enlarged from her student ID the school had on file. Rachel smiled out at her. Forever 16, forever hopeful. "Watch me," Holly whispered. "I'm going to make you proud." And deep down, she knew Rachel already was 3 months after moving into the guest house. Holly took her GED exam. She'd studied relentlessly, worked through every practice test, stayed up late reviewing notes. Ms. Rodriguez had said she was ready, but Holly still felt nervous. Nathan drove her to the testing center that morning. "You've got this," he said. "You know the material. What if I freeze up? What if I blank on everything? Then you take it again. It's not the end of the world. But you won't freeze. You're one of the smartest people I know, Holly." She looked at him, this man who'd become so important to her life. "Thank you. For everything. I wouldn't be here without you. You'd have found a way. You're a survivor." The test took most of the day. Math, science, social studies, language arts. Holly worked through each section methodically, remembering strategies Ms. Rodriguez had taught them. Don't rush. Read carefully. Trust your instincts. When she finished, she was exhausted but cautiously hopeful. The results would come in 2 weeks. In the meantime, her volunteer work at the shelter expanded. She was connecting with the girls there, becoming someone they trusted. One girl, Casey, reminded Holly painfully of Rachel. 15 years old, in the system, angry at the world. "Why should I trust you?" Casey challenged during one of their talks. "You're just another adult who's going to leave." "I'm 19, Holly said. "Not exactly an adult. And I'm not going anywhere. I was you, Casey. I know what it's like to think nobody cares. But someone cared about you. That rich guy. Not everyone gets a Nathan Cross to save them. You're right. Not everyone does. But that's why I'm here. To be the person who cares. You don't need a millionaire. You just need one person who sees you. Let me be that person." Slowly, Casey opened up. She was in foster care after her mom overdosed. No other family. Bouncing between homes. Exactly the path Holly and Rachel had walked. "What if I told you there are programs that could help?" Holly said. "Places that specialize in teens aging out of foster care. Education support. Housing assistance. Job training. Those programs don't work for people like me. They didn't work for me either. But you know what did? Someone believing I was worth saving. Let me help you access resources. At least try." Holly coordinated with Beth and Dr. Mitchell to get Casey connected with better services. It was small, just one kid, but it felt like progress. At home, she continued having regular dinners with Nathan. Their relationship had evolved into something comfortable and familial. He was her mentor, her friend, the closest thing to family she had left. One evening, Nathan brought up college. "Have you thought about what's next? After you pass the GED?" "When I pass it, you mean?" "When," Nathan agreed with a smile. "Sorry, when?" Holly had been thinking about it constantly. "I want to go to nursing school. Like my mom. It feels right. But that's years of school. So expensive. I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Holly, I have more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. Let me invest it in something that matters. In someone who'll use their education to help others." "That's too much." "It's not nearly enough. Do you know what Catherine and I always wanted to do with our wealth? Fund scholarships for kids who deserve chances. We set up a foundation, but it felt impersonal. This is personal. This is real. Please let me do this. Holly felt overwhelmed. I don't know how to thank you. Pass your classes. Become a nurse. Help people. That's all the thanks I need. They researched nursing programs together. Community college first for prerequisites, then a 4-year program. Holly could start in the fall if she wanted. 6 months away. It's fast, Holly said nervously. Everything's happening so fast. We can slow down if you need to. No. I want this. I'm just scared of failing. Of letting you down. You could never let me down. Even if you decided nursing wasn't for you, that wouldn't be failure. That would be learning. You're allowed to change your mind, to make mistakes, to be human. The GED results came on a Tuesday. Holly was at the community center when Ms. Rodriguez called her into the office. Her heart pounded as she sat down. I got the results back, Ms. Rodriguez said, her face unreadable. Holly held her breath. Then Ms. Rodriguez broke into a huge smile. You passed. With honors. Top scores in all 4 subjects. Holly burst into tears. Happy tears, relieved tears, proud tears. She'd done it. She'd actually done it. She called Nathan immediately. I passed. I really passed. His voice was thick with emotion. I knew you would. I'm so proud of you, Holly. When can we celebrate? They had a celebration dinner that night at a nice restaurant downtown. Claire came, and Dr. Mitchell, and Angela. Beth and Jennifer from the shelter. Ms. Rodriguez. Kevin and Jennifer Walsh. Even Officer Parker stopped by to congratulate her. Speech, someone called out. Holly stood, her heart full. I don't know what to say except thank you. 6 months ago, I had nothing. I'd lost everything. And then Nathan stopped. He stopped when he could have walked away. He saw me when I was invisible. And that one act of kindness changed everything. She looked at each person at the table. But it wasn't just Nathan. It was all of you. Dr. Mitchell making sure I was safe. Angela helping me process grief. Claire teaching me practical life skills. The Walshs giving me free coffee and friendship. Beth believing I could help at the shelter. Ms. Rodriguez pushing me to succeed. You all cared when you didn't have to. Her voice broke. My sister Rachel didn't get a second chance. But I did. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure other kids get second chances too. That's my promise to her, and to all of you. Thank you for saving my life. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Nathan pulled her into a hug, and Holly felt surrounded by love. Her chosen family. The people who'd caught her when she fell. Later that week, Holly started the application process for community college. Nursing prerequisites. Anatomy, chemistry, microbiology. It was daunting but exciting. At the shelter, she worked with Casey to get her enrolled in similar programs. Casey was resistant at first, but slowly began to believe that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. You're like me, Casey said one day. You get it. I am like you. That's why I know you can do this. You're strong, Casey. Stronger than you realize. Holly also started speaking at community events about youth homelessness. Small groups at first. Church gatherings. Non-profit meetings. She told her story, Rachel's story, and advocated for better support systems. It was scary, being vulnerable in public. But people listened. And more importantly, they acted. Donations to the youth shelter increased. More volunteers signed up. Local businesses started hiring homeless teens. One person speaking up created ripples. Nathan watched all of this with pride. You're becoming a force for change, he told Holly. Catherine would be so proud. I learn from the best, Holly said. Both Catherine through your stories and you through your actions. You taught me that one person can make a difference. 4 months after passing her GED, Holly enrolled at community college. She moved through her prerequisite classes with determination and focus. The science was hard but fascinating. She loved learning about the human body, about health and healing. And she kept volunteering. Every week at the shelter. Every opportunity to speak about youth homelessness. Every chance to help one more kid. Casey thrived under Holly's mentorship. She got her GED. Started community college. Began believing in herself. You saved my life, Casey told Holly one day. No. You saved your own life. I just showed you it was possible. On the anniversary of Rachel's death, Holly visited the grave. The cottonwood tree had bloomed like Nathan said it would. Purple crocuses that Holly had planted grew around the headstone. I did it, Holly told her sister. I got my GED. I'm in college. I'm helping other kids. You'd be proud of me, Rachel. At least I hope you would be. She sat by the grave for a long time, talking to Rachel about everything. The classes, the friends, Nathan's continued support, the girls at the shelter, the life she was building from the ashes of their tragedy. I miss you every day, Holly whispered. But I'm making your death mean something. I'm living enough for both of us, just like I promised. Nathan came and sat beside her. They stayed there together, two people bonded by loss and healing, watching the sun set over the cemetery. She knows, Nathan said quietly. Wherever she is, Rachel knows what you're doing. And she's proud. Holly leaned against his shoulder, this man who'd become her family. Thank you for giving me the chance to make her proud. Thank you for giving my life meaning again. They sat in comfortable silence as darkness fell, two wounded souls who'd found healing in helping each other. And somewhere, maybe, Rachel smiled. Holly's life had settled into a rhythm that felt almost too good to be true. College classes 4 days a week. Volunteer work at the shelter twice a week. Study groups with friends from school. Regular dinners with Nathan. Counseling sessions with Angela to process the lingering grief. She'd been living in the guest house for 10 months. It felt like home. Then one Tuesday afternoon, everything threatened to fall apart. Holly was at the library studying anatomy when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Is this Holly Bennett? A woman's voice, professional and cold. Yes. This is Sarah Chen from Child and Family Services. I need to speak with you about your living arrangement with Nathan Cross. Can you come to our office tomorrow at 2? Holly's blood ran cold. What? Why? We've received a complaint about the appropriateness of a 52-year-old man housing a 19-year-old girl. We need to investigate. Tomorrow at 2. Don't be late. The line went dead. Holly sat frozen in the library, her textbook forgotten. A complaint. Investigation. They were going to take away everything. After all these months of building a life, someone was going to destroy it. She called Nathan immediately. He was in a meeting, but stepped out when his assistant said it was urgent. Someone reported us to Child Services, Holly said, her voice shaking. They want to talk to me tomorrow. Nathan, what if they make me leave? What if they think something bad is happening? Calm down. Nathan's voice was steady, grounding. Nothing bad is happening. We've done everything correctly. Dr. Mitchell has documented everything. You're legally an adult. They can't force you to leave. But they can make trouble. They can suggest things. Ruin your reputation. Let them investigate. We have nothing to hide. I'll call my lawyer right now. And I'll contact Dr. Mitchell. We'll handle this, Holly, together. But Holly couldn't shake the faith. She'd seen how the system worked. How it made assumptions. How it destroyed things even when trying to help. That night, she couldn't eat. Couldn't study. Just paced the guest house in a panic. What if they made her leave? Where would she go? Back to the streets? To some group home? Dr. Mitchell came over that evening with Nathan. They sat in Holly's living room, calm and reassuring. I spoke with Sarah Chen, Dr. Mitchell said. The complaint came from someone who saw a news article about Nathan's charitable work. The article mentioned he was helping a homeless teen. This person assumed something inappropriate and reported it. So someone who doesn't even know us is trying to destroy this. Holly felt anger replace some of her fear. People make assumptions, Nathan said quietly. I knew this was a risk. A single man helping a young woman. It looks questionable if you don't know the context. But we've been so careful. You've been so respectful. This isn't fair. No, it's not, Dr. Mitchell agreed. But it's reality. The good news is we have documentation. I've been filing regular reports about your living situation, your progress, your mental health. Your counselor will testify. Teachers from your GED program and college can speak about your stability. We can prove this is a legitimate mentor relationship. What happens at the meeting tomorrow? Holly asked. You answer their questions honestly. Tell them about how Nathan helped you, about the boundaries we've maintained, about your independence. I'll be there with you. So will Nathan's lawyer. The next day, Holly sat in a gray office building facing Sarah Chen, a woman in her 40s with a skeptical expression. Dr. Mitchell sat beside her. Nathan's lawyer, a woman named Patricia Moore, sat on her other side. Let's start at the beginning, Sarah said. How did you meet Nathan Cross? Holly told the story. Rachel's death. Asking for help. Nathan stopping when everyone else walked by. The funeral. The offer of the guest house. And you accepted immediately. You weren't concerned about the motives of a strange older man offering you housing. I was desperate, Holly said honestly. My sister had just died. I had nowhere to go. But Dr. Mitchell was involved from the start. There were safeguards. What is your relationship with Mr. Cross? He's my mentor. My friend. Like family, I guess. He helped me get my GED. He's paying for my college. He believes in me when no one else did. Does he ever make you uncomfortable? Has he ever been inappropriate with you? Holly felt anger flash through her. Never. Not once. Nathan has been nothing but respectful. He gave me a separate living space. He doesn't come over unless invited. He's given me freedom and support, not control. Why do you think he's helping you? Because his wife died and he was lost. Because helping me gave his life purpose. Because he's a good person who saw someone in pain and decided to help. Why is that so hard to believe? Sarah made notes. We've received similar complaints before about wealthy men who claim to be helping young women. Often there are ulterior motives. Then investigate those situations, Patricia Moore interjected. But this isn't one of them. My client has been transparent from the beginning. Dr. Mitchell has documented everything. Holly has her own living space, her own money, her own life. Mr. Cross is funding her education, as has funded many other students through his foundation. I'd like to speak with Mr. Cross, Sarah said. Nathan was brought in. He answered the same questions with patience and honesty. Explained about Catherine's death. His desire to help. The proper procedures they'd followed. Why this particular girl? Sarah asked. Why Holly? Because she asked for help and I was there. Because her situation reminded me of my own loss. Because I saw potential being wasted and I had the resources to prevent that waste. Is it so impossible to believe that some people help others without ulterior motives? In my experience, yes, Sarah said bluntly. The interview went on for 2 hours. Exhausting, invasive questions. Then Sarah said she needed to inspect the guest house and interview people in Holly's life. Over the next week, Sarah talked to everyone. Claire, Angela the counselor, Beth from the shelter, Ms. Rodriguez, Holly's college professors, Casey and other girls from the shelter, Kevin and Jennifer Walsh. Each person testified to the same thing. Nathan was genuine. Holly was thriving. The relationship was appropriate and beneficial. But the investigation cast a shadow over everything. Holly couldn't focus on her studies. Nathan seemed stressed despite trying to hide it. The easy comfort of their relationship felt strained under outside scrutiny. What if they decide against us? Holly asked Dr. Mitchell during a counseling session. Then we appeal. We fight. But Holly, I've seen the evidence they've collected. Every person they've interviewed has supported you both. Sarah can't ignore that. But she wants to. I could see it in her eyes. She thinks Nathan's some predator, and I'm too naive to see it. Some people are cynical. The system has made her that way. But facts matter more than cynicism. The final hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. Nathan's lawyer assured them it was just a formality. But Holly couldn't shake her dread. The night before the hearing, she couldn't sleep. She sat in the garden between the guest house and main house, staring at the stars. Nathan came out and sat beside her. Can't sleep either. What if we lose? What if they separate us? Then we appeal. We keep fighting. Holly, you're an adult. They can't force you to leave if you don't want to. but they can make your life hell, ruin your reputation, suggest terrible things. Nathan sighed. I've thought about that, and I decided I don't care. My reputation matters less than your well-being. If people want to think badly of me for helping you, that's their problem. But it's not fair to you. Life isn't fair. We both know that better than most. But we also know that doing the right thing matters more than public opinion. Holly leaned against his shoulder. I'm scared. Me too, Nathan admitted. But we're going to face it together. No matter what happens, you're not alone in this. I promise you that. They sat in the garden until dawn, two people facing an uncertain future, drawing strength from each other. Tomorrow would bring answers. For better or worse, they'd know. But tonight, they had each other. And sometimes, that had to be enough. The hearing room was smaller than Holly expected. Just a table where Sarah Chen and two other social workers sat, chairs for witnesses, and a space for Holly, Nathan, Dr. Mitchell, and Patricia Moore the lawyer. Holly's hands shook as she took her seat. This moment would determine everything. Her future, her home, her relationship with the man who'd saved her life. Sarah called the hearing to order. We're here to determine whether the living arrangement between Nathan Cross and Holly Bennett is appropriate and in Miss Bennett's best interests. We've conducted interviews and site visits. Today we'll hear testimony before making a recommendation. Patricia stood. Before we begin, I want to note for the record that Holly Bennett is 19 years old. Legally an adult. This hearing is unusual given her age and independence. Noted, Sarah said coolly. But given the power imbalance inherent in this relationship, we felt investigation was warranted. First witness, Dr. Grace Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell was sworn in. She laid out the facts calmly and professionally. How she'd been involved from the first day. The documentation she'd kept. Holly's mental health progress. The appropriateness of all interactions she'd witnessed. In your professional opinion, is Holly in any danger from Nathan Cross? Sarah asked. None whatsoever. Nathan has been a model mentor. He's provided support while respecting Holly's autonomy. I've seen nothing but positive development since they've known each other. Could this positive development be the result of financial security rather than Nathan specifically? Partially, yes. Money helps. But I've worked with many wealthy benefactors over the years. What makes Nathan different is his genuine care and appropriate boundaries. Holly isn't a project to him. She's a person he values. Next came Angela the counselor. She testified about Holly's grief processing, her emotional growth, the health of her relationship with Nathan. Has Holly ever expressed fear or discomfort regarding Nathan Cross? Never. She expresses gratitude, affection, and respect. Their relationship mirrors a healthy familial bond. Ms. Rodriguez from the GED program spoke next. Holly is one of the most determined students I've ever taught. She went from homeless and grieving to honor student in 6 months. That doesn't happen without support. Nathan provided that support. Did you ever observe inappropriate interactions between them? No. Nathan attended her graduation ceremony and was appropriately proud. Like a parent would be. Nothing more. Kevin Walsh took the stand. He talked about Nathan's history of quiet generosity. He saved our business 5 years ago. Never asked for anything in return. That's who he is. A man who helps people. Beth from the shelter was nervous but clay. Holly volunteers with us twice a week. She's amazing with the teenage girls, especially the ones from difficult backgrounds. She told me once that Nathan gave her the stability to heal. That healing let her help others. That's the ripple effect of one good man's kindness. Casey, the 15-year-old Holly mentored, was the most powerful witness. She sat in the chair looking small and scared but determined. Holly saved my life, Casey said simply. I was going down a bad path. She showed me someone cared. She did that because Nathan showed her someone cared. If you take that away from her, you're punishing her for being helped. That's not right. Sarah's expression softened slightly. We're not punishing anyone. We're ensuring safety. She is safe, Casey insisted. Safer than most of us. She has a home, an education, someone who believes in her. Don't take that away. Then came a surprise witness. Pastor Whitfield, who'd officiated Rachel's funeral. "I've known Nathan for 8 years," the pastor said. "Since before his wife died. He's a man of integrity. When he helped Holly, he didn't do it for recognition. He did it because it was right. That's the measure of character. Not what you do when people are watching, but what you do when no one is." Pastor Whitfield gave a toast. To truth prevailing. To community standing together. To love winning over cynicism. And to Holly and Nathan, who've shown us all what real family looks like. Everyone raised their glasses. Holly looked around the room, at these people who'd become her family. Not through blood but through choice. Through caring. Through showing up. "I want to say something," Holly said, standing. "6 months ago at my GED celebration, I talked about second chances. Today I want to talk about community. Every person in this room stood up for me and Nathan when it would have been easier to stay silent. You testified. You vouched for us. You proved that good people exist." Her voice broke. "My sister Rachel believed in human kindness even when our circumstances suggested otherwise. You all proved her right. Thank you for that. Thank you for being the kind of people who make the world better." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Nathan pulled her into a hug, and Holly felt surrounded by love. Later, after everyone left, she and Nathan sat on the porch watching stars appear. "We did it," Holly said. "We really did it. You did it. Your character won the day, Holly. People saw who you really are. Who we are together. That's what mattered." Nathan nodded. "Family. Not by blood but by choice." "The best kind," Holly agreed. And as the night deepened around them, Holly felt Rachel's presence like a warm breeze. Her sister would have loved this. Would have loved these people. Would have loved seeing Holly safe and happy. "I kept my promise," Holly whispered to the stars. "I'm living for both of us." And somewhere in the universe, maybe Rachel smiled. 2 years later, Holly stood in front of her mirror, adjusting the simple white dress. Not black. Never black. White with blue trim, colors of hope and healing. Today was her wedding day. In the 24 months since the hearing, her life had transformed beyond recognition. She'd excelled at community college, completing her nursing prerequisites with top grades. She'd gotten accepted into the 4-year nursing program at CU Denver. She was now in her final year, on track to graduate with honors. But more than academic success, she'd found purpose. Her volunteer work at the shelter had expanded into a formal program. With Nathan's financial backing and her vision, they'd created the Rachel Bennett Second Chance Foundation. It provided housing, education support, and counseling for teens aging out of foster care. In 2 years, they'd helped 47 kids. 47 young people who might have ended up on the streets now had safe places to live and real futures to build toward. Casey was one of their first success stories. Now 17, she lived in one of the foundation's group homes, attended high school, and volunteered at the shelter helping newer kids. She'd become like a little sister to Holly. And then there was Andrew. Holly had met him in her anatomy class 18 months ago. He was a nursing student too, quiet and kind, with gentle brown eyes and a passion for pediatric care. They'd been lab partners first, then study partners, then friends. Their first date had been terrifying for Holly. She hadn't dated anyone, too focused on survival and then on healing. But Andrew was patient. He learned her story and didn't run. He met Nathan and passed that important test with flying colors. His good for you, Nathan had said after that first meeting. He sees you, really sees you. That's rare. The relationship grew slowly, built on friendship and trust. Andrew proposed 6 months ago in the garden between the guest house and main house, the place where Holly had spent so many evenings talking with Nathan about dreams and healing. A knock on the door pulled Holly from her memories. "Can I come in?" Nathan's voice. "Yes." He entered, distinguished in his gray suit, and stopped short when he saw her. His eyes filled with tears. "You look beautiful. Catherine would have loved to see this." "I wish she could have," Holly said. "I wish Rachel could too. They're here in spirit. I believe that." Nathan handed her something. A bracelet, delicate silver with small purple stones. This was Catherine's. "She wore it on our wedding day. I thought maybe you'd like to wear it. Something borrowed." Holly's eyes filled with tears as he fastened it around her wrist. It's perfect. Thank you. Ready for the ceremony? Almost. First, I need to say something. Nathan, you're walking me down the aisle today, and that means everything to me. You've been my family when I had none. You saved my life in every way a person can be saved. I don't have enough words to thank you. You don't need words. Seeing you happy and whole, that's all the thanks I need. Now come on. Andrew's probably pacing a hole in the floor waiting for you. The wedding was small, held in the garden where Holly had healed. White chairs set up in rows. Purple flowers everywhere, for Rachel. A string quartet playing soft music. As Holly stood at the back with Nathan, waiting for their cue, she looked at the gathering. Casey and the other foundation kids in the front row. Dr. Mitchell and Angela sitting together. Beth from the shelter with her daughter. Kevin and Jennifer Walsh. Maggie Thompson. Ms. Rodriguez. Officer Parker in his dress uniform. Pastor Whitfield ready to officiate. Claire wiping happy tears. Every person who'd help her build this new life. Every person who'd believed in second chances. And at the front, Andrew, looking at her like she was his whole world. The music shifted. Nathan offered his arm. Ready. Ready. They walked down the aisle together, and Holly felt Rachel's presence so strongly it took her breath away. Her sister would have loved this. Would have been the maid of honor. Would have cried happy tears. When they reached Andrew, Nathan placed Holly's hand in his. Take care of her, Nathan said. She's precious. I know, Andrew replied. I promise. Pastor Whitfield began the ceremony. We're gathered here today to witness the union of Holly and Andrew. But before we begin, I want to acknowledge the journey that brought us here. Holly's story is one of loss and redemption, of despair and hope, of death and new life. He looked at Holly. 2.5 years ago, you stood in a different part of this garden burying your sister. You thought your life was over. But through the kindness of a stranger who became family, through your own courage and determination, and through the support of this community, you rebuilt. You didn't just survive. You thrived. And you turned your pain into purpose, helping dozens of other young people find hope. Pastor Whitfield turned to Andrew. And you found a partner who understands that love means showing up, even when it's hard. Who knows that family isn't always blood, but always choice. Who's dedicated her life to helping others heal. The ceremony continued with traditional vows, rings, promises to love through all circumstances. When Pastor Whitfield pronounced them married, Holly and Andrew kissed to enthusiastic applause. The reception was in Nathan's backyard, transformed into a celebration space. Simple food, good music, and lots of laughter. Holly danced with Andrew, then with Nathan, then with Casey who was crying happy tears. You did it, Casey whispered. You really did it. You built a whole life. We did it, Holly corrected. All of us together. That's what community means. During the toasts, Nathan stood. I'm not Holly's father, though in my heart she feels like a daughter. But I have the honor of being her family by choice. 2.5 years ago, I met a girl who'd lost everything, but hadn't lost herself. She asked me for help, and in helping her, she saved me too. He paused, emotional. My wife Catherine believed in paying kindness forward, in using our blessings to bless others. Holly embodies that spirit. She took the help she received and multiplied it, creating a foundation that's changing lives. She turned tragedy into triumph. And today, she's starting a new chapter with someone who sees her worth. Nathan raised his glass. To Holly and Andrew, may your marriage be filled with the same love and community that brought you here today. And Holly, thank you for letting me be part of your journey. It's been the privilege of my life. Holly was crying again. Happy tears this time. She stood and hugged Nathan tightly. Thank you for stopping. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for everything. As the evening wore on and stars appeared overhead, Holly found herself by Rachel's memorial tree. They'd planted it in the garden, a young cottonwood that would grow tall and strong. A plaque at the base read, Rachel Bennett. Forever 16. Forever loved. Forever remembered. Andrew came and stood beside her, thinking about her. Always. She should be here, should be dancing and eating cake and teasing me about being married. Tell me about her. What would she say? Holly smiled through tears. She'd say she told me so. That good things can happen. That people are kind. That hope wins. She always believed that, even when I didn't. She was right. She was. Holly touched the tree's young trunk. I started the foundation in her name so she'd never be forgotten. So her death would mean something. It means everything. Every kid you've helped, that's Rachel's legacy too. Holly leaned against Andrew, grateful for his understanding. They stood in quiet contemplation until Casey came looking for them. Holly, they are about to cut the cake. You have to come. Back at the party, Holly and Andrew cut a simple purple frosted cake. Maggie Thompson had baked it specially, declaring that every wedding needed a personal touch. As they fed each other bites, everyone laughed and took pictures. Later, Holly threw her bouquet directly to Casey, who caught it with surprised delight. Does this mean I'm next? Casey joked. It means good things are coming for you too, Holly said. I believe that. As the party wound down and guests began to leave, Holly made a point to thank each person individually. These people had become her family, her foundation, her proof that community could heal even the deepest wounds. Finally, it was just Holly, Andrew, Nathan, and Claire remaining. They sat around the garden as the night deepened. What's next for you two? Nathan asked. Finish nursing school, Holly said. Start our careers. Keep growing the foundation. Build a life. Sounds perfect. Nathan smiled. And you'll always have a home here. The guest house is yours as long as you want it. Actually, Holly said, glancing at Andrew, we've been talking about that. We want to turn the guest house into transitional housing. Part of the foundation. We found an apartment near the hospital for after graduation. Nathan's eyes widened. You want to give it up? I want to pay it forward. The guest house gave me safety when I needed it. Now it can give safety to someone else. That feels right. That feels like what Rachel would want. Nathan looked overcome with emotion. Catherine would love that. Using what we've been given to help others. Yes. Let's do it. They spent the rest of the evening planning. The guest house would become transitional housing for teens aging out of foster care. A safe place to land while they found their footing. Just like it had been for Holly. Full circle. From receiving help to giving it. When Andrew and Holly finally left for their wedding night at a hotel downtown, Holly took one last look at the garden. The place where she'd buried Rachel. The place where she'd healed. The place where she'd found family. The place where she'd gotten married. Thank you, she whispered to the universe, to Rachel, to whatever force had led Nathan to stop that terrible morning on the sidewalk. In the car, Andrew reached over and squeezed her hand. You okay? Better than okay. I'm happy. Really, truly happy. Good. You deserve it. They drove through Denver streets that no longer felt threatening. Holly wasn't invisible anymore. She wasn't homeless or helpless or hopeless. She was a nursing student, a foundation founder, a wife, a friend, a daughter by choice. She was whole. 3 months later, Holly stood at Rachel's grave with news. I graduated, Rachel. Top of my class. I'm officially a registered nurse now. And the foundation has helped 73 kids in 3 years. 73 lives changed because you died, and I refuse to let your death be meaningless. She placed fresh purple flowers on the headstone. Nathan walked me across the stage yesterday. Andrew was there. All our friends. Everyone who helped me get here. And I thought about you the whole time. About how you should have graduated too. Should have become a teacher. Should have had all the chances I've gotten. Holly's voice broke. But I'm living for both of us. I'm helping kids like us. I'm making sure your memory creates ripples of good in the world. I hope that's enough. I hope you're proud. The wind rustled through the cottonwood tree, now several feet tall and strong. Holly chose to believe it was Rachel's answer. Proud. Always proud. Holly left the cemetery and drove to the foundation's new building. What had started as a small program had grown into a proper organization with full-time staff and multiple housing locations. The guest house was just the beginning. Inside, she found Nathan meeting with a potential donor. He waved her over. Holly, this is Margaret Stevens. She wants to fund another transitional house. Holly shook the woman's hand. That would help so many kids. Thank you for considering it. I read about your foundation in the paper, Margaret said. About how you built it from your own experience. That kind of authenticity matters. I want to help. After Margaret left, having committed to funding a second house, Holly hugged Nathan. We're really doing it. We're changing the system from the inside. You're doing it. I'm just providing resources. The vision is all yours. Our vision. Catherine's vision. Rachel's vision. It takes all of us. That evening, Holly went home to the small apartment she shared with Andrew. He was cooking dinner, humming along to music. The user wants me to continue the story. I'm currently in chapter 10, and I've written a good portion of it. Let me continue from where I left off. Holly coming home to Andrew cooking dinner. I need to wrap up this final chapter, bringing the story to its conclusion with the themes of hope, kindness, and paying it forward. I should show how Holly's life has come full circle and end with an uplifting, hopeful conclusion that honors Rachel's memory. I need to finish chapter 10, then provide the image prompts, thumbnail phrases, hashtags, title, and description as requested. In the kitchen. How was your day? He asked, kissing her hello. Good. Really good. We got funding for another house. And I visited Rachel's grave. Andrew pulled her into a hug. How are you feeling? Grateful. Said she's not here to see all this. But grateful I get to make her proud. They ate dinner together, talking about their patients from the hospital where they both now worked. Andrew in pediatrics, Holly in the emergency room where she could help people in crisis, just like she'd once been helped. After dinner, Holly's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered cautiously. Holly Bennett? This is Jennifer Marcus. I'm a social worker. I have a girl here who's in a situation similar to what I understand you experienced. She's 17, just lost her sister, has nowhere to go. I was wondering if your foundation might have space. Holly's heart clenched. Another girl. Another loss. Another chance to make a difference. Tell me about her, Holly said. 20 minutes later, she hung up and turned to Andrew. There's a girl named Melissa. Her sister died of an overdose. She's been couch surfing, about to end up on the streets. The guest house is open. I want to help her. Then let's help her, Andrew said without hesitation. Holly called Nathan. We have our first guest for the transitional house. A 17-year-old who just lost her sister. Can we set it up quickly? Give me 2 days. I'll have everything ready. 2 days later, Holly stood in the guest house that had once been her sanctuary. It looked different now, set up for rotating residents rather than one long-term occupant. But the essence was the same. Safety, warmth, hope. When Melissa arrived, escorted by the social worker, Holly saw herself from 3 years ago. The same haunted eyes. The same defensive posture. The same desperate hope fighting with ingrained cynicism. Hi Melissa. I'm Holly. This is your space for as long as you need it. Melissa looked around suspiciously. What's the catch? No catch. Just kindness. I was you 3 years ago. Someone helped me. Now I'm helping you. Why? Because my sister didn't get a second chance. But you can. And I'm going to make sure you do. Melissa's tough exterior cracked slightly. Your sister died too. Yeah. Rachel. She was 16. I was 19. I know what you're feeling right now. For the first time, Melissa's eyes showed something other than defensiveness. They showed hope. Holly spent the afternoon helping Melissa settle in, showing her around, explaining the foundation services, making sure she knew she was safe. Before leaving, Holly said, I'm not going to let you fall through the cracks. None of us are. You have a whole community now. All you have to do is let us help. Melissa nodded, not quite believing but wanting to. As Holly walked back to her car, she saw Nathan watching from the main house window. He waved, and she waved back. 3 years ago, he'd given her this chance. Now she was giving it to someone else. The cycle continuing. The kindness multiplying. The hope spreading. That night, Holly wrote in her journal. She still kept one, still wrote letters to Rachel. Dear Rachel, today I helped a girl who lost her sister, just like I lost you. Her name is Melissa and she's scared and angry and hurt, just like I was. But she's going to be okay because I'm going to make sure of it. 3 years ago, Nathan stopped when everyone else walked away. That one act of kindness changed everything. It saved my life. It gave me purpose. It created ripples that are still spreading. I'm married now. Can you believe it? Andrew is wonderful. You'd love him. He's kind and patient, and he understands why I do this work. Why I can't walk away from kids who need help. I'm a nurse like Mom wanted. I have the guest house set up for kids who need second chances. The foundation has helped so many people. All because one man decided to help one girl on one terrible morning. I still miss you every day. I still wish you were here. But I'm making your death mean something. Every kid I help, that's for you. Every life we change, that's your legacy. I kept my promise, Rachel. I'm living for both of us. And I'm making sure your name creates hope in the world. I love you forever, Holly. She closed the journal and looked at the photo of Rachel on her nightstand. Her sisters smiled out at her, frozen in time at 16. Thank you, Holly whispered. Thank you for believing in hope even when I couldn't. You were right all along. Good people exist. Kindness wins. Love conquers everything. Andrew came in and wrapped his arms around her from behind. You're amazing, you know that. I'm just paying forward what was given to me. That's what makes you amazing. 5 years after that terrible morning on the sidewall, Holly stood in front of a packed auditorium. She'd been asked to speak at a conference about youth homelessness and effective intervention strategies. My name is Holly Bennett Morrison, she began. And 7 years ago, I was homeless, holding my dead sister, begging a stranger for help. That stranger stopped. His name is Nathan Cross, and he's here today. She gestured to where Nathan sat in the front row, looking proud. Nathan didn't just help me. He showed me that one person can change everything. He proved that kindness isn't weakness, and that hope isn't naive. He gave me a second chance, and I've spent the past 7 years making sure other kids get second chances too. She clicked to a slide showing the foundation statistics. The Rachel Bennett Second Chance Foundation has now helped over 200 young people. We provide housing, education support, counseling, and most importantly, we provide community. We show kids that they are not invisible, that they matter, that their lives have value. Another slide, showing photos of success stories. These are just a few of the young people we've helped. Casey, who's now in college studying social work. Melissa, who just graduated high school with honors. James, who overcame addiction and is training to be an EMT. Each of them had someone who stopped, someone who saw them, someone who cared. Holly's voice grew passionate. The system fails kids every single day. They fall through cracks, become statistics, disappear into homelessness or worse. But we can change that. Every single one of us can stop for someone, can see someone who's invisible, can offer help to someone who needs it. She paused, emotion thick in her throat. My sister Rachel died because no one helped. She was 16 years old with her whole life ahead of her. But her death created something beautiful. It created a foundation dedicated to making sure no other Rachel slips away unnoticed. That's how we honor the ones we've lost. We help the ones we can save. The auditorium erupted in applause. People stood. Some were crying. After the presentation, dozens of people approached Holly wanting to volunteer, donate, or start similar programs in their cities. The movement was spreading. Nathan found her in the lobby afterward. Catherine would have loved that speech. You're changing the world, Holly. We're changing it. Together. I couldn't do any of this without you. Yes, you could. But I'm glad you don't have to. They stood together, mentor and student, father figure and daughter by choice, two people bound by tragedy that had transformed into triumph. Thank you, Holly said for the 1,000th time. Thank you for stopping. Thank you for asking for help. That took courage I'm not sure I would have had. We saved each other. We did, Nathan agreed. We absolutely did. 10 years after Rachel's death, Holly stood at the cemetery on a spring morning. The cottonwood tree was now 15 feet tall, its branches full of leaves. Purple flowers bloomed all around the grave. Andrew stood beside her, holding their 3-year-old daughter. They'd named her Rachel Catherine, after the two women who'd made their life possible. "Is this where Aunt Rachel sleeps?" little Rachel asked. "Yes, baby. This is where we remember her." "Was she nice?" "She was the nicest person I ever knew. She believed in hope and kindness and love, just like your daddy and Grandpa Nathan taught you." The little girl placed a purple flower on the grave, carefully, reverently. Holly knelt down beside the headstone. "Rachel, I brought someone to meet you. This is my daughter, your niece. I named her after you because I wanted her to carry your spirit into the world. I wanted her to know about the sister I loved who believed good things could happen even in the darkest times." She paused, tears streaming down her face. The foundation just opened its 10th house. "We've helped over 500 young people in the past decade. 500 kids who might have ended up like us, sleeping under bridges, falling through cracks. But they didn't. They got chances. They got hope. They got community." Holly touched the headstone. "I kept my promise. I'm still living for both of us. And now I'm teaching the next generation to do the same. To stop for people who need help. To see the invisible. To choose kindness over indifference." Andrew helped her stand. Little Rachel took her hand. "Mama, why are you crying?" "Because I miss Aunt Rachel. But they are happy 'tis too. Because she helped make you possible. She helped make all the good things possible." They walked through the cemetery together, a family built on love and choice and second chances. Behind them, the cottonwood tree rustled in the breeze, growing stronger every year, reaching toward the sky. Just like hope. Just like love. Just like kindness that multiplies and spreads and changes everything. And somewhere in heaven, maybe two women watched and smiled. Catherine and Rachel, the ones who'd believed in the power of one person choosing to care. Their legacy lived on in every life touched by the foundation, in every act of kindness inspired by their story, in every person who chose to stop instead of walking away. The end wasn't really an ending at all. It was a beginning that kept beginning, over and over, every time someone chose to help. Every time love won. Every time hope conquered despair. And it all started with one girl begging for help and one man who decided to give it. Sometimes, that's all it takes to change the world. One act of kindness. One moment of compassion. One person who stops,